Hey guys, my name is Tina. I'm on here today asking for your help, asking for your support for my husband who served his country as a United States Army Ranger, a man that has devoted his entire life to serving others, a man who I have seen risk his life countless times and will do it countless times more. A man I just recently witnessed rescue a wandering 4-year-old boy in our neighborhood. I watched my husband nurture that little boy and take care of him as though he were his own until we were able to find his parents. My husband is the type of man that if a neighbor calls him, says, hey, I think I hear somebody, might be a burglar outside or something like that, my husband will jump up and he will get dressed and he will go and he will assist. My husband is the man that walks the streets in our neighborhoods at night, policing our neighborhoods when other neighbors will not. And before I tell you my story of injustice, I want you to know a few things about my family and what we love. We love God, we love our family, and we love our country. And this is our story. On Friday, September the 27th, 2024, I received a call from my mother-in-law. First thing she says, is your husband right there next to you? And I say, no, he's outside. She says, well, put him on the phone. Dad wants to speak to him. I immediately began to worry because Dad has been in the ICU for 3 weeks now. We've had questions about his care, like why is he not getting better? Dad's been very unhappy in the facility. And now we get a call from Mom that says Dad's on the phone. He wants to speak to his son. So I said, okay, let me go get him. So I go outside, find my husband. I say, I got your mom on the phone. She says, Dad wants to talk to you. So immediately he says, uh-oh, he said, what's wrong? I can see the worry come over his face, like, what's wrong, right? I put my husband on the phone. Mom puts Dad on the phone. And Dad says to my husband, son, I am tired. I'm losing my strength to fight. I'm tired of the pain and the suffering. I don't know if I can keep going. Our father was giving up. It was sounding like our father was going to die. As Dad began to talk, he started to cry. And it became a very emotional phone call between father and son. To which my husband said to his dad, he said, no, Dad, please. I need you to hold on. I need you to hold on because I cannot lose you too after I just lost Trey. Now, you see, Trey is our son that followed in his father's footsteps, and he also joined the United States military. But he didn't go do Army Ranger. He decided he wanted to become a Marine. We were so proud that he had made the choice that he did. It's a smart young man, good-looking boy, had a bright future ahead of him. But on July 7th, 2024, our son Trey took his life at the age of 29. This young man right here took his life. My husband, he is still grieving the loss of Trey. It just happened. So here he is right now. He's on a very emotional phone call with his dad, worried that now too he's going to lose his father. During that emotional phone call, I heard my husband say, Dad, no, don't. Hold on, Dad. He said, I'm coming right now. And that's what we did. You see, we live in Georgia. It was Friday the 27th. We had just gotten hit by Hurricane Helene. We didn't know what obstacles we were going to face trying to make that drive to Connecticut to be by Dad's side, but we didn't care. We were going to make it there. We didn't even know if our vehicle was going to make it. We was like, we're just going to go. So we gathered whatever we could find quickly. 30 minutes after we hung up with Dad and Mom, we were in our vehicle and we were leaving the house to get on the road to come and be by Dad's side. It took us 18 hours to get to Connecticut, to get to the city where Dad is. We ran into so many obstacles on the road. We ran into trees down, road closures, gas stations out of gas stations without power. We finally made it there. 18 hours, barely any sleep, but we had to be by Dad's side. I could not fathom my husband going through another loss so soon, right? We make it to Connecticut, to the part of town where his parents live. We get there about 12 noon on Saturday, right? Left on Friday at about 5:30, get there at about 12 noon on Saturday. My husband, he works in security. He's got on his full uniform because we left swiftly. He didn't have time to change. He's got on his full security uniform, all right? So he says, you know what? Before we go see Dad at the hospital, I think I better stop at the police station on a professional courtesy. And some of you out there may not understand why that's important, but I assure you, if your skin looks like this right here, you understand exactly why we did that when I explained to you. So we got into town, like I said, about noon. We got to the police station about 12:15, right? We see a police car parked in the parking lot of the police station. And we say, okay, well, why don't we just go over there and you know, talk to that policeman. Maybe he can tell us where we need to go so that you can do your professional courtesy, be seen, let them know what we're doing, and then we can go over to the hospital, right? So we pull into the parking lot where that officer is. And my husband says, you know what? I don't think it's appropriate for me to pull up behind him. Let me pull ahead of him about 50 feet. So that way, when I get out the truck, he can see me. I got on my full security gear. I don't want to alarm him. I want to do the right thing and make sure I'm visible. Okay, makes sense, right? Husband pulls up. He does exactly what he says he's going to do. He jumps out. He even puts his hands up and he turns all the way around so the guy can see him. And he kind of motions like, hey, I just really got a question. I want to talk to you. Already, the security, the officer in the car, he's miffed with my husband about what he did. I can't figure out why he's miffed. My husband did the right thing. He pulled up ahead of him. He got out so he could be seen. He put his hands up. He motioned, hey, I just got a question, because my husband just wanted to ask him where he can go. Police is huffy puffy. He didn't like the way it was done. He tells him, go into the police station, right? Already, here we go, right? This is the reason why my husband is doing this, right? My husband goes into the police station, shows his face, identifies, lets the police officer see he's in his full security gear, leaves his name, says, hey, I just got into town. My dad's in the hospital. I need to go over here, you know, take care of things, right? Because we're here because we think Dad is on his deathbed from the conversation that we're having. It's just not sounding good. We got to get here, but let's stop, do professional courtesy, not only to protect my husband, to protect his family too, right? Because my husband knows that when he gets to that hospital, he's going to have to advocate for Dad, which means he's going to be demanding answers from medical physicians. He's going to be demanding answers from nurses. My husband is not naive. He knows he is a Black man in security uniform going to advocate for his father. He's going to be firm. He's going to be direct. So what if somebody takes his firmness and his directness the wrong way? Oh, the black man talking to me any kind of way, right? Well, just in case that happens, then I find myself at the police station. Let them know, hey, I'm here, I'm in town. If I ruffle some feathers, at least I know I already came here for you. This is my little insurance packet, right? Just want to make sure we're okay, right? Several officers saw my husband in that police station. And as he walked out, the main officer he talked to inside said, hey, good luck over there at the hospital, right? So my husband leaves out of the police station. He gets back in the car. He reports to me what he did, what happened as we're driving to the hospital, which is only roughly a 5-minute drive away because it is in downtown where the police station is as well. So at approximately 12:40 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, we get to the hospital, right? We go inside, we sign in, we have our pictures taken at the visitor's desk. They give us our tags. We go upstairs to the floor where dad is at. We find his room. Mom is already there. Now, mind you, my husband's parents are in their 70s, okay? We get there, mom is already there visiting dad. My husband and I walk into the room. The first thing my husband notices, because he kind of stops and he just kind of stares for a second, right? And I know what he's looking at because I know my husband. The first thing he sees, there's all these tubes going every which way into his father, right? This man laying in that bed, this is his hero, right? This is his hero. This is his dad here, and he's seeing him at a weak point. He's got all of these tubes coming in and out of him, right? Not only that, but what worries him the most is he takes notice that his dad is strapped to the hospital bed. His mobility is limited. He's strapped to the hospital bed, right? So before my husband can wrap his mind around what he is seeing, a nurse walks into the room. She doesn't even greet herself. She immediately says, only 2 people to a room. She doesn't greet. She goes right into it. Only 2 people to a room, right? I proceed to leave the room. I want to let mom and son have their moment with dad. I proceed to leave the room. My husband looks at the nurse and he says, in a very demanding, very firm way, because he is there to advocate, especially after he just saw that his dad has been strapped to the bed. He said, I need to see a doctor right now. Wouldn't you do the same? You go to the hospital and your 70-year-old dad is in his hospital bed. Bad enough, he's got all these tubes going all over the place, but he is strapped to his bed. You don't know why, you don't know what, you just know it just looks wrong, right? Immediately, you're going to be upset, right? So the nurse, you could tell visibly, she was mad. She was mad that my husband was making a demand on her. She stormed out of that room, right? And as she stormed out of the room, we all began to have a conversation, waiting because we assume, oh, she's going to get a doctor in charge or somebody in charge that can give us some medical information about what is transpiring here with our dad. Why is he strapped to the bed? Explain to us what these tubes are. All the medical questions we're going to have, right? We're here to advocate, right? So we had been in that hospital room not even 5 minutes. I have begged to differ. It might have been 3 minutes, right? Total from the time we got in there to the nurse saying to a room, to her storming out. We turn around. There's 2 security guards standing at the door. Here we go. We're thinking, here we go. This is my husband is. No, he's thinking this is exactly why I stopped at the police station. He's probably thinking, I'm glad I stopped at the police station because here we go, right? Advocating while black. Here we go. Advocating while black. I guess here we go. Gets the security called on you, right? So I have the audio from the security interaction. I want you to hear it because it speaks volumes. This security guard is a representation of the hospital. And when you hear the way he spoke to my husband, while accusing my husband of being the one who has a terrible approach, you're not going to believe it. So I'm going to play it. I'll give some context as we go through. But here it is. This is a security card that shows up. Apparently, the nurse, instead of going to the doctor like we asked, she went and she got security. Listen to this recording. All right, so the first bit of audio you're going to hear You're going to hear the security guard ask my husband to come over here and talk, right? And then you're going to hear my husband say, no, I want to talk right here, right? And you know why he says that. I'm going to tell you why he refuses to go over here and talk, wherever here was for the security guard, right? My husband is smart. He's like, I'm not going to go away and talk to you. He's like, I need witnesses. He's like, I want to talk to you in front of everybody, right? Mainly his family. He wants to have the conversation with the security guard in front of his family because he already knows the security guard is here to be an aggressor. He's not here to de-escalate. He's not here to help. He's not here to hear the family side of the story. He's here because he has already taken the word of the nurse. Okay? So let's go into the video and I'll give you some context as we go through it. Here we go.
You want to come out here and talk? Hey, come out here and talk. No, it don't work that way. I don't care what you are. I don't care what you are.
All right, so here we are, 14 seconds into the security guard arrival. He says, "Let me talk to you over here. Let me talk to you over here." My husband says, no, I want to talk to you in front of everybody, right? The security guard is like, that's not how it's done. That's not how it's done, right? Why does my husband want to talk to him in front of everybody? He wants witnesses. He doesn't want to go over here, wherever over here is with the security guard. He wants to talk to him in front of everybody, right? To protect himself, right? Protect his family, right? Let's have this conversation where everybody can hear it, okay? Let's continue.
To tell you, I've already talked to the guys, and I don't want to do this. This is a family thing.
Yeah, but
All right. So what's my husband say next? He says, understand, I've already talked to the guys. He's referring to the police station where he went before he came to the hospital. He's referring to the fact that he already spoke to a policeman and gave him a heads up. I'm going over to the hospital to handle my dad, you know, so on and so forth. Right. And then he proceeds to tell the security guard, this is a family matter. Right. Let's continue.
And she felt threatened.
yeah.
No, I got that. No,
hold on.
Stop.
He
didn't. I got that. I did. I told her that I was here to handle my family's business. Okay, y'all get that, right?
Yeah, we get it, but you're not really proving yourself by coming in my face, bro.
Really? You got it right. All right. Okay, so, but know that we're
Dad's in ICU
here.
You had a family member in ICU.
Oh yeah, I can relate.
Please.
You can't flex your muscle like you're not really. Yeah, I can relate.
All right, so you hear that little bit of conversation back and forth. The security guard makes comment, oh, you coming in here flexing your muscle, but you can hear my husband say in there, look, man, I'm sorry, right? But the security guard is not trying to hear it. Right? Let's continue.
About that though, when you make somebody feel nervous about doing their job and stuff like that.
Yeah, she took it. And I understand what the perception is.
Okay.
You gotta understand. Look at all the stuff you got on your waist.
I'm glad you know that because I've already been over and identified who I am too.
All right. So you hear my husband telling me, look, I've already been over to the police station and identified myself. And he's like, I had all this stuff on when I was at the police station. They didn't say anything. They wished me good luck. And I came over here. It was fine. Right. So he's reiterating that to the security guard. Right? And he's also telling him that, look, I did not threaten her. I understand perception. This is what my husband says. But it's like, no, I did not threaten her. Right. So let's continue.
You're not understanding where I'm coming from.
Okay, but.
Okay.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
You can't come in people's face and you got a bunch of stuff like, come on, bro. You gotta be diplomatic about your approach.
But she went to go get her manager.
He's telling me to relax like he run this show.
Y'all kind of
No. This is a family thing.
Y'all kind of ran phone with this.
So
She was
you
going to
guys
the manager.
understand.
Right. Yeah.
No, the cops have already been told, but it's not like that. I need my dad.
I'll get you 210.
I need the dog.
ICU.
Who's the manager on duty?
Who's on charge? Because you can't. You're not going. Oh, you're seeing me right now.
I come in here with respect. You know what? Okay. I don't even have a dad, bro. So when you talk to me like this, you know you're not my dad. Remember that.
Yeah.
And
All right. So while the security guard is talking about he comes to people with respect, My husband is this security guard's elder. My husband is in his 50s. This security guard has got to be 30. He's called my husband bro more times than I can count, right? So you want to give a speech to somebody about respect, you might want to take your own advice. He's speaking to my husband like he's just some guy on the street, right? So let's continue.
He's my dad.
I'm a grown man.
He's
You're not
my
about to, you're
dad.
not about to soft press me.
He's
Okay,
my
wait.
I
dad.
understand that.
Let's-
I understand that. You're not about to.
All right, so now he's like, you're not my dad, bro. I'm a grown man. You're not about to press me. He's talking to my husband like it's a guy in the street he about to square up with or something. You know what I mean? And then what does my husband say when the security guard says, you're not my dad? My husband says, but he's my dad. And he points to his father in the hospital room. And he says it that way. Understand, I'm here advocating for him. This is my dad, right? That's why I'm here right now. That's why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling right now, because this is my dad in here fighting for his life, right? Completely goes over the security guard's head, right? Let's continue.
Let's we're not about to do that. We're not about to do that. You ain't scaring nobody, bro. Not even.
I mean, you ain't scaring nobody, bro. This the upteenth bro, right? You ain't scaring nobody, bro. He keeps making reference to, oh, you throwing your weight around. Oh, you flexing your muscle. Oh, you ain't scaring nobody, bro. It's like he's not doing any of what you're trying to say. The man just wants to see a medical professional, wants to see a doctor. His main concern is, I want to just talk to someone about my dad, right? We're here wasting minutes because the security guard came over here deciding he wants to be the aggressor. He has a chip on his shoulder. He is obviously on the side of the nurse, and it is very clear that he's not going to de-escalate. He's not going to empathize. It is very clear that he don't give a shit, right? Everything that's coming off of him is saying that as he is talking to the family of the patient in the room that they're standing right in front of. Okay, so my dad can hear and see everything that's going on right now. Let's continue.
A little bit.
Senior Urban
Not
wants to
even a
speak.
little bit.
Don't do that.
Senior.
Can both
You're
of
not-
y'all
you're not.
don't do that.
Let's talk
to Dad. Dad
his
wants
approach
to
is
that,
all
please.
wrong.
Don't do
that.
We don't.
Your
I don't wanna
approach is
stress.
all
I
wrong.
want to stress Dad out right now. So let's.
His approach is all wrong.
Okay, just hold
You
on.
about to be escorted out of here.
Oh no, we
Out of here. You can come back. We can try this again another day. He's getting out of here.
No, we drove from Georgia. We just got here.
We in Connecticut though. We're saying Georgia.
No, I'm
Far
telling
away
you,
from
we had a
Georgia.
15.
All right, so you hear that right? He's telling my husband his approach is all wrong, but he's the security guard. He's got a lot of attitude, right? He's got a lot of attitude. I'm saying, he's like, y'all about to get up out of here. And I'm like, no, we just drove all the way from Georgia to see our dad. This Connecticut, this ain't no Georgia. This ain't no Georgia. He's doing what I say is the most right now, right? He's continuing to be this aggressive figure when there's no empathy here, there's no emotional IQ. He just doesn't care, right? So let's continue.
I'll
be lying if I told y'all I cared. I'll be lying if I told y'all I
somebody who has
cared.
medical authority to be up here now.
See, and there you go. He's giving the energy that he does not care. And then he's actually dumb enough to actually say it out loud. I'd be lying if I told y'all I care. I'd be lying if I told you I care. He is saying this to the family of a patient that is under the care of the hospital, right? So if you don't care about the family of the patient, you don't care about the patient. As far as I'm concerned, right? You have let us know where you stand. As a representative of the hospital that is caring for our dad, you don't care about the family of the patient. Okay, thank you, Mr. Security Guard. You have made yourself clear. You don't care. Let's continue.
Are you a medical
What are
supervisor?
you talking? Look at all these professionals right here.
No.
You know, they don't feel.
They can stand.
Are you a doctor, sir?
I'm not a doctor.
Yeah, that's what we want.
That's right. I need a doctor.
It's okay. This is a security issue at this point. We're gonna get the doctor. We're gonna get the care for. We're gonna get the care for what you're asking for. Nah, but when your approach is all wrong, bro. I'm being honest.
Another bro, right? Another bro. And you hear when I asked them, sir, we want a doctor. Are you a doctor? You know, that's all we want. Right? We want a doctor, right? No, this is a security issue right now, right? And we are 3 minutes. We're 3 minutes into this conversation. Only 3 minutes, right? Now, one time that he really tried to figure out what the family side of the story was, right? Because he didn't care. He came in with whatever information he received, and he decided, oh, I'm just gonna boot them out, right? He, as he said, he don't care, right? Let's continue.
I understand that.
Just
And you're not the first
a couple
rodeo.
of months.
You're not my
ago,
first
and he
rodeo.
was-
You're not my first rodeo. Do what? Do what?
Oh,
Do what?
your dad's calling you. Let's go. We gotta even see. So I don't really understand why he kept saying, you're not my first rodeo. You're not my first rodeo, to what my husband was saying. My husband was saying, look, my dad has been in the ICU for a while, right? So he's basically saying, I'm here. I need to see what is going on. And then he says, you ain't my first rodeo. You ain't my first rodeo. It's like he's somewhere else already thinking about booting him out, but he's not listening to what my husband is saying, right? My husband is he's sticking to the point of, I'm here to take care of my dad, right? He's sticking to that point. I'm here to take care of my dad. I just want a doctor, a medical professional. But the security guard language he is speaking is, you're out of here. He's not speaking in, what does the family need to feel better about their dad, who we're taking care of in our hospital. He doesn't care. No emotional IQ, no empathy exists with this guy here. So let's continue. Yeah, so let's talk to him.
Man, I don't know.
I'm saying,
Let him talk to his dad.
He could go ahead. He out of here in a second. He about to be out of here in a second.
Give us some freedom. Give us some freedom.
I need the professionals up here.
All right, so that's the conversation between security and my husband and me. It was like not even a 4 minutes, interaction from the security guard. He not at one time asked us our side of the story, right? He's like, you about to get up out of here. I'm booting you out, right? So what happened next, you won't believe. All right, so just to give you some context about this next part of the audio. So my husband is down in the other end of the hallway, is trying to reason with these security guards, right? Because ultimately, at the end of the day, we're just trying to get medical professional to come and talk to us so we can understand more clearly what's going on with our dad's condition, what's going on with his health, right? So we're going to start from there, where they're going to get a charge nurse for my husband to talk to. Okay, so let's go.
Okay, but
And I get.
let me get the charge nurse, because I'm not going to charge.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay. You understand. You understand.
I truly understand. But you're not diplomatic. You're not.
I know. And
You're
I'm
not.
not.
Look at your approach. For real. I'm not. You know why? As a black man, you're supposed to understand where I'm coming from. You know.
Let me find it out. Okay, yeah, that's all we want. We just want to understand. Okay. I'll be here. All right, so there's a few conversations happening right here. The nurse goes and gets the charge nurse. She comes over. So I'm talking to her and I'm basically saying, hey, all we want to do is talk to a doctor, right? So as I'm trying to talk to her, I'm almost trying to juggle two things. I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on with the security guard and my husband, because I'm trying to protect my husband. So I'm trying to make sure, okay, what's going on here? We're not escalating this to anything stupid. So I'm looking over there and trying to pay attention to them while talking to the charge nurse, letting her know, look, Dad's not really happy with the care he's receiving. We just want to talk to a doctor and understand what's going on, right? So these two things are going on at the same time, okay? So let's continue. All right. He's trying to get straight with them. Huh? He's trying to get straight with them. Yeah, we asked for a doctor just to come in and kind of, give us the lay of the land and explain everything. Yeah, we should. So I wasn't expecting like security. I was expecting a doctor. I was expecting a medical supervisor. Yeah. All right. So if you listen closely, you can hear me talking to the charge nurse, and I'm like, telling her how, I'm expecting the nurse from the initial conversation to bring back like a medical supervisor. And I say to her, I wasn't expecting like security to show up because we weren't, right? So we're having that conversation, and I'm about to get into, just talking to her about why we're here today. We just want, to talk to a doctor about her dad, right? So let's continue.
Yeah. We get it? Oh, please. No, no. Oh, can you? Oh, can you? We get it? Oh, please. Hey, hello?
This is not what we do.
Hey, this is Baby Herb.
All right, so here we are at the point where he finally gets on the phone with the doctor, right? After doing a circle jerk with the security guy, in which we kept telling him what we wanted, and the security guy was not listening. A very nice nurse, not the first nurse. Once she skedaddled, I didn't even see her again, right? A very nice nurse that overheard the conversation that my husband was having with the two security guards. He was trying to reason with the two security guys. This nurse had the emotional IQ and the empathy to just say to my husband, would it make you feel better if I got you a doctor? Novel idea to just ask the family of the patient what they want, right? And he says, yes, that's right. So she actually makes arrangements and is able to get that doctor on the phone for him. The doctor wasn't available to come over, but he was available to talk on the phone to the family about dad, right? So kudos to that nurse, right? She is the only person on that whole floor that led with empathy. Nobody else cares right now, right? Let's continue.
My father's son. How you doing? Hey. There's some discrepancy up in here, sir, and I'm not gonna lie. It's again, I just drove 16 hours up here. I'm a little irritated, and nobody's explaining it to me, and everybody's telling me, "Hey, they're just over scared." Yeah, I don't want to go that way. What I want to do is somebody to explain to me by the numbers, medically and physically, where my father's at. So I can
So either way out there is what y'all, but what I was told was the approach is all wrong. Sure.
All right, so as you can hear, there's several conversations going on. You can overhear my husband on the phone talking to the doctor. You can hear the security guard. He's still talking, about the approach and about this and not diplomatic and all this, right? So he's still going on. And then you hear other rumblings of things happening in the background, right? So let me paint the picture for you. My husband is on the phone talking to the doctor. The phone is just outside of my dad's hospital room. It's probably like not even 3 feet from the opening of the door to his room, right? So he's like, my husband's like right there by the room talking to the doctor, right? So this is the scene in this very moment. All right, so let's go.
You got into this woman's face. This woman's face. She don't feel comfortable. You got a bunch of stuff. Listen to that.
He didn't get in your face. I was watching. He didn't get in your face.
Weren't you just in the car?
Yeah.
When I came?
He's on phone. All right, so you hear me again. The security guard is talking about, oh, he got in the nurse's face. First of all, the security guard was not there, but we were the witnesses. He did not get in her face. So he's taking what the nurse has told him, which was a lie, and he's running with it. And he ran on that lie and called the police to the hospital. The same police from the police station that my husband had already went to. He'd already self-identified. He'd already made himself very visible. Yes, I'm here in my security gear. I'm about to go over to the hospital. Several police saw him. They was like, good luck. And he rolled out. And now he's at the hospital, right? And the police just showed up. Not one, not two. There are several police that show up at the hospital, right? This is exactly why my husband went to the police station in the first place, to avoid all of this, because it was not necessary. He was not there to hurt anybody. He was not there to start a commotion. He was not there to bring any drama. He simply showed up because he wanted to be able to see where his father was at talk to some medical professionals, a doctor, somebody that can give him some insight. Because remember, when he first got to the room and set eyes on his dad has got all these tubes going every which way, and he's strapped to the bed, right? So automatically, my husband was like, what is up with this? I need somebody to tell me what in the world is going on, right? That's the headspace that he's in. He's worried about his father, and everybody else is worrying about, oh, you in this security, get up and you doing this and blah, blah, blah. And we done told you a million times, I want a medical professional. I want a doctor. I want to talk about my dad, but nobody's listening, right? Nobody listens, but the one awesome nurse that overheard the conversation and said, would you just like a doctor? Right? What a novel idea to actually listen to what someone is telling you that they need, right? And then try to help, right? What a novel idea, right? Let's continue.
I'm on my phone from the doctor now. Hold tight.
You went over to the sheriff's department to have him go over there and not him and my dad, right? Just in case they call you, I want to show my face.
I talked to McAllister and tell him I was coming. And David.
All right, so you hear my husband, he's talking to the cops that show up. He said, hey, I talked to McAllister. McAllister was his who he spoke to when he went into the police station before coming to the hospital. And he's telling the guy, look, I already talked to McAllister. I ID'd myself. He saw me. I told him where I was going and what I was doing, right? He's telling him these things, right? Let's continue. And then also, you can also hear me talking to another cop that was with them, telling him the exact same thing. You know, we went to the police station first, you know, just to make sure, you know, just to kind of cover ourselves and just to, you know, these things. So I'm telling the other officer that as well. Let's continue.
Do everything. All right. Just like I kind of thought. I was a little irritated, I'm not gonna lie, but I told them, the counselor. Oh, you don't have to take it. Yes. I'll take it.
All right, so now in the background, you hear the other officer talking to my husband. Okay, while we're trying to handle everything with the family, trying to get a doctor, trying to get a medical professional, one of the lead officers, at least I'm gonna say he's kind of in the front of this group of officers that just showed up. He's like sizing my husband up. He's looking at everything on his security uniform or whatever, stuff like that. So he's like really like sweating my husband, right? So let's continue.
That's how we make sure.
Yeah, I'm having a problem with the officers up here, and I've already seen them. No, stop.
All right, so you hear my husband say, yeah, I'm having a problem with the officers up here, and I've already seen them. He's like, I've already seen them. I've been to the police station. And then you hear him say, stop, because that one officer is like all up on him, like messing with his security belts and all that stuff. So my husband's like, stop. Like, my husband's like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Let's continue.
Okay, so listen. Okay. Please step.
Yeah, this step aside. We'll figure things out in a second.
Because we're not. He's under the care of the staff right now, so he's fine.
All right. Do you hear that officer say, oh, he's under the care of staff right now. He's fine. And we've been saying we're here because our dad is not with the care he is getting, right? Everybody keeps telling us he's fine. And we're telling you, we're the family of the patient. We know because our dad is telling us he's not happy with the care, right? So we're here to find out what is going on, right? Let's continue.
Making a lot of people nervous.
He just said he's not fine.
All right.
My father said he's not fine. See? All right. So did you hear that? Did you hear my dad in the background? I'm not fine with the service. He says it out of his own mouth, right? Let me run that back. See?
Can you just give us a
It's okay, I see his vitals, I'm controlling, yeah. All right. Calm down. I don't want your heart rate to go up high too much. Okay, just relax. It's gonna get straightened out.
So the woman that you hear talking in the background, she's a charge nurse. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah. Of course. Your brakes and what?
All right. And if you're listening to the background, you don't hear anybody screaming. You don't hear anything disorderly going on. You hear a lot of little conversation, but nobody's loud. Nobody's belligerent. There's no signs of disorderly conduct happening. Right. So I'm over here talking to the charge nurse. The police, I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on with the police officers because they're really sweating my husband. And my husband is like, I don't know what is happening right now. I gave the professional courtesy. I went over to the police station. I talked to McAllister. Several officers saw me. Nobody gave me any issues. They just said, hey, good luck over there at the hospital. And I left, right? After telling them what I was coming over here for, which was, talk to the doctor, get some medical professionals, to give me some information as to what is going on with my dad, especially since I just showed up and saw he's got all these tubes and he's strapped to his bed. I'm just trying to get some answers, right? Nobody took the time to ask, right? If people had taken the time to empathize, right? Tap into your emotional IQ and actually ask, right? They would have known that dad's not happy with the service. They got dad strapped down in the bed here. I'm just setting eyes on him and I'm just seeing these things, right? I need some explanations from the medical staff, right? This is what I'm trying to get. This is what the family was trying to do. But everybody was so focused on my husband's security gear and not the real reason why we were there, right? Let's continue.
We'll take care of this. We'll make the best of it,
I understand
okay?
probably you have some things going on with your pops right now.
It's up to your doctor. Your doctor makes, so your son is talking to your doctor, so it's up to the doctor. About living, everybody can leave the hospital, but it always works better. Family talks with the doctor, maybe.
All right, so you're the charge nurse in the background. She's talking to my dad in the hospital, and she's like, yeah, it always works better when the family talks to the doctor. Your son is talking to the doctor, right? He was supposed to be talking to the doctor, but the officer showed up and made him get off the phone. But even the charge nurse is like, yeah, it's always better when the family talks to the doctor. We know this. That's why we're there asking for the doctor. But nobody wants to give us really what we want, except for that one nurse who was really awesome, gave us what we wanted, and we still couldn't get it because the cops showed up and demanded that my husband get off the phone with the doctor, right? Finally getting what we want, and here we go, right? Here come the cops. Let's go.
It's gonna do better, any kind of better accommodation. Okay. All right. Okay. I am charged, yeah. So we had, I don't know, some tiny misunderstanding here.
People are like very other than knife, what else do you have on?
All right, so you hear the conversation. The police is like, other than a knife, what else you got on it? My husband is up front. He's like, yeah, I am armed. He's got on his full security gear, right? That he basically wore from the time we skedaddled from, Georgia to get here to Connecticut, because he didn't have time to change. He just kept it on and just went up the road, right? So let's continue.
Yeah. And what does family think? I'm Lolly, I'm the charge nurse, that's why. I'm just
Take over.
Major.
Okay.
My father is smart. He knows what he wants. He's not happy. So that's why we want to talk to the doctor.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's good, it's the right choice, talk to the doctor, yeah.
All right, so you can hear the charge nurse. She's agreeing with us. Yeah, you're making the right choice. Talk to the doctor about what's going on with your dad, right? And I'm telling her, look, my dad is really sharp. If he's telling us that things are wrong around here, he's not making it up, right? That's where we are with the charge nurse. She's in agreement that the family should be communicating with the doctor, which is what we've been trying to do since we got up there, right? Let's continue.
All right, I gotta leave here for a minute until we locate this firearm.
All right, so then the officer says, we need to locate this firearm, and he proceeds to grab my husband's arm, right? So automatically when someone grabs you, especially in this situation, and my husband is like, dude, don't touch me. Like, what are you doing? Why are we even doing all this, right? I already gave you professional courtesy. Like, what is happening here, right? This is what happens next.
Don't do that. It's not necessary. Don't do that, please. Don't.
Please.
Back up.
Don't.
Get out of the way.
Please stop.
We're gonna know.
Shit.
Telling you.
So in this moment, the officers pulled their weapon, and I'm standing next to my husband. I immediately jump in front of him. They got their weapons drawn for no good reason. They just didn't like the fact that my husband had on his security gear, right? Grabbed my husband for no reason, just grabbing his arm, right? So I jump in front of him. My 70-year-old mother, or my dad's, or my husband's 70-year-old mother jumps in front of me. So me and my 70-year-old mother-in-law are in between Tori and those officers. Had I not been there, right? Had mom not been there, they would have shot him on the hospital floor right outside of where dad's bed was. Our father could see everything from his bed that was happening, from the security guards fiasco, now the cops. Even when the nurse got mad and huffy and puffy and she went out of the room and got this security guard, my dad was there to see that too. All this because we continuously asked for a medical professional. We want to see a doctor. We want to know what's going on with our dad. Nobody was listening, right? The security guard wasn't listening. The initial nurse wasn't listening. And now the cops are not listening. Let's continue.
Get out of the way.
Please stop. It's not necessary. It's not necessary. What are you guys doing?
Sorry, let me listen to your father. Listen to your father. Put it on the floor, okay?
Why are you doing this?
Now you hear my husband crying. He's upset because he doesn't understand why they're doing this. That's the part that when I was standing there in front of him and they had their guns drawn and he began to cry, like, why are you doing this? I don't deserve this. I haven't done anything. And he's right. He hadn't done anything to warrant having guns pointed at him, at his wife, and at his 70-year-old mother, trying to protect him from being shot, right? How did we get to level 100? You heard all the audio. My husband was never loud. He was never disorderly. He was never disrespectful. He just asked for a medical professional 1,000,000 times, asked for a doctor 1,000,000 times, right? Could not get what he wanted, right? But yet his approach is wrong, right? He's the one that's, making people nervous, right? When actually, no, the security guard's approach was wrong. The cops' approach is wrong. The initial nurse who lied and said my husband threatened her, that approach was wrong, right? The only people here that feel threatened right now are the family, right? You're pointing guns at us, right? My husband never pulled his weapon out or anything. And this is the treatment we're getting, coming to see our father at the hospital, right? That we think we're about to lose. We're trying to come and get answers from medical professionals and doctors, and nobody wants to give us what they want. They just want to come and judge us, right? Judge my husband, right? Make these assumptions about him when he's given them no reason to do so because he just was at your police station giving you professional courtesy, right? Let's continue.
Let me take it off. It's okay. No. Put your hand. Let me take it off. Your dad's here. No.
It's
Tori,
Your dad is here.
Stop! What are you doing, guys? You don't have to do this for what
They
we
don't. They
do.
don't. Let's take it off. Let's please. Not right now from your dad. Do me a favor and your
What
father.
are you doing?
Take it off. We're here for your father. We're here for your father. You come back here. Yeah. We need to get your father situated. Okay, please. Let's get your father situated. So at this point, I'm the only one in the room that's de-escalating. Me and my 70-year-old mother. The cops are not de-escalating, right? It is me and my 70-year-old mother trying to de-escalate. Why is that? Why are the cops not de-escalating the situation, right? There was no reason for them to draw on my husband. No reason whatsoever, right? He wasn't even going there like that with anybody in the hospital, right? You heard how many times he kept staying to what he was there for. I'm here for my dad, right? Nobody else is trying to hear it. Everybody else is paying attention to what they want to pay attention to. Nobody seems to give a damn, right? Now my husband is really upset. He's crying. He doesn't understand why he's being made to feel like a criminal, right? He's so upset, right? So I reach my arms around him and I unclip his security belt. This guy, you know, his weapons, has his handgun and things like that in it. And I just put it on the table inside of his dad's room because I don't want my husband to get shot, right? Let's continue. It's okay. I want you to sit down and have a seat.
Let me back up, man. Have your LT come in here. Is he here?
Yeah. We'll take it off.
No. I want them to wait until.
All right. So you hear my husband ask for the LT. He's asking for someone that he is comfortable with talking to because these police guys, they on some other stuff right now, right? So he's like, is your LT here? Ask him to come here, right? That's what he's asking for. So again, he's got a request and the police don't care, right?
Until the doctor gets here.
Oh, that's fine. Help me with this real quick.
Tell him to wait until the doctor gets here. I'm tired. Stop! Please! Stop!
I know you are.
Stop!
Come here.
Because of what she did, I didn't do anything!
It's okay. I know. I was standing there with him and I saw how distraught he was. I saw how he was hurt too. Like, I don't understand why y'all are doing this to me. I didn't do anything to deserve this. I don't understand what's happening. Why are you guys doing this to me? He was so distraught, right? And we were very clear in the beginning, right? Our father's in the ICU. We drove all these hours to be here. We're tired and concerned for our dad. We have a lot going on. There's a lot of stress. This is our family situation, right? So that's why my husband is breaking down and he's crying, right? Not only because he wants to just come and advocate for his father, but he's not a criminal. What is going on here? So even when I'm playing this audio back and I'm listening to my husband cry, it just makes me want to cry right along with him because this is not right. What is happening right now? Let's continue.
She didn't do anything, and you guys are doing the fucking shit.
I know. That's all right. Let's continue.
Stop! Give me, who's LT?
We need this escalate.
Oh, that's Hubbard. Hubbard, come here, man. Hubbard, come here. You can stand down. Come here, man.
De-escalate. Yeah. You don't have anything. Just stay right here. Please. Then you hear the guy saying, we can't have this in the hospital. We weren't having anything in the hospital. You guys escalated the situation, right? We came to the hospital to check on our dad, talk to some doctors, get some medical professionals to help us, right? The nurse is the catalyst in all of this. She was huffy and puffy and pissed off. You got to go talk to me like that. I'm going to show you. I'm going to go get security, right? She set this whole snowball in motion, right? Then the security guard comes. He got a chip on his shoulder, no emotional IQ, no empathy, tells us with his own words, I'd be lying if I said I cared. I'd be lying if I said I cared, right? Tells us where he stands. He doesn't care, right? He escalates, calls the cops because he doesn't care, right? So here we are, now the cops are here. They came in hot, which is exactly what my husband was trying to avoid by going to the police station. And you hear the officer in the background having the nerve to say, we can't be doing this in the hospital. The only people that are doing this are y'all, the cops, the security, the nurses. You guys did everything except for ask the family what they need for their dad. Let's continue.
Yeah, he don't have it. He don't have it on him.
Ammo out.
Come on. Hover.
Just keep your hands on his lap.
Put your hands up.
Keep your hands on his lap.
Wow, please. I did not do anything to deserve this.
You gotta comply. They're gonna kill you.
You hear his mom, the 70-year-old mom in the background. She's scared. She's thinking they're going to kill her son, right? Same thing. I'm thinking they're going to shoot him. Are you serious? All of this, right? Advocating while black. Advocating while black. This is crazy that this happened, right? This is crazy that this happened. When he extended that professional courtesy, he went over to the police station to avoid this fiasco right here. All because we wanted to see a doctor. We wanted a medical professional. How many times did you hear us ask for that during this audio? We asked for it over and over and over and over again and was told basically, we don't care what you want. That's basically what we was told, right? Had I not been there, right? Mom not been there, right? My husband would be laying out on the floor right in front of his father's room. His father could see everything that was happening. And when I think about that, it upsets me. I don't have the words to describe how upset it makes me that my husband could have been dead because he was advocating for his father in the hospital. He did not threaten anyone. He didn't get up in that nurse's face. It was a lie that could have taken him away from us. Let's continue.
Hey, look, this is for safety.
Well, yeah.
Safety.
It's-
Right here. Put your hands.
This
No, you cannot.
Are you guys stand down?
You
Are
can't
you guys
help
gonna stand down?
Yeah,
We are.
He don't have
Look at me.
anything.
Look. We
You
talked
can't
earlier,
help
right?
me.
I talked to you, man.
Just put
You
your
can't
hands on
help
your
me
head.
if you
Just put your
they
hands on
kill
your
Oh.
head. Step out. Put your hands on your head. Come
Just
up this
do
way.
it.
That's the part that starts to make me emotional because he finally sees the officer that he saw at the police station and he says, I talked to you, man. He says it like, wow, what is all this? And he starts, you can hear the emotion in my husband's voice. And he's like, I talked to you, man. Like, why are y'all doing this to me? Right? Let's continue.
Do not cuff me, man.
Listen. We're talking.
And then you hear my husband say, do not cuff me, man. Right? And then you hear the officer say, look, we're talking, right? My husband's like, please don't cuff me, man. You know, let's continue.
Okay.
Just put your hands on your head. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. It's fine. Put your hands on your head.
I'm tired.
You're fine.
Come on.
I didn't do anything. All I
Put your
said.
hands on your head.
You
Put
left
your
your
hands
over there?
on your head.
Come on. Just come on here.
He just lost his son.
Okay. We'll talk about it. Come here.
Come on.
No, they don't care.
Yes,
You
they
care.
do.
We have to talk to you.
Yes, they do. Come on.
Okay, send us on
They
the phone.
do.
That's it.
I care. I'm your
I'm
mother.
tired.
I'm your mother.
You heard my husband say, after I tell him, look, he just lost his son. And my husband said, they don't care. They don't care. Right? And he just says he's tired. Right? That like broke me on the inside. Right? And just hearing it all over again just makes me cry because for them to take him, not only him, but they took the family through all of this additional emotion as if we don't have enough emotion already going through what we're going through with dad, right? Dealing with the recent loss of our son, right? So now you're here and you're adding more trauma to the situation. And there was no reason that it had to go to this level. There's nothing that we did here that warranted this. And my husband is so upset, as you can hear in this audio. Let's go.
I love you. I care.
It's so wrong. It's so wrong.
I know.
Mom, I was just talking to you and I did not do her like
It's
that.
just being you. It's just being you. Just put your
And I
hands on
know the de-escalation. Please, guys, you know I know.
That's all. So you just gotta talk.
You guys holster too.
That's fine.
Holster too.
Here, we'll holster. Just put your hand on your
Please,
head.
hold.
And you see at this point, they still have their weapons drawn, right? So we're still in front of them. They still have their weapons drawn. My husband had to ask them to please holster your weapon. Please holster your weapons, right? And they're telling my husband, come out with your hands on your head, right? Let's continue.
Put your hand on your head.
There you go.
Holster too, please. Holster, please.
Come here.
You know I'm not.
I got you. I got you.
Just talk to
I got
him.
you. Feel
Just talk to
safe.
him.
I got you.
My son, and I just lost a grandson over stupid stuff.
I'm gonna run it back, but you hear my dad from his hospital bed says, I just lost my grandson to suicide. You can hear him say it in the background, right? Because he's watching everything that is happening. I'm gonna run it back a few seconds.
Lost a grandson over stupid stuff. He's got
So they handcuffed my husband, stood him up against the wall. Okay, now we're all safe. We can talk right now, right? After you guys were the ones that pointed guns at us, right? Wasn't the other way around. My husband wasn't disorderly, but he was very confused as to why y'all took it to level 100 when all he was asking for was a medical professional, a doctor, someone to help him understand what was going on with his dad. They handcuffed my husband and had him standing up against the wall while they acted like they cared, right? Because they didn't. Let's continue.
Sorry, there's just there's a weapon involved and we don't know what's going on.
I feel better. You feel better.
I don't think that a hospital.
No, we're not gonna hurt him. We don't wanna hurt
I feel
him.
better. I feel better.
I don't think that a hospital should have people as hostages. A hospital should not be taking place.
I understand, just there's someone called that there's a male with a gun in the hospital and
Yeah, that's why he went over there.
We don't-
precinct first, because he was like, they're probably gonna get case. I just want to check on my father. And that's exactly what happened. You guys came over. So, yeah, his son passed away.
I know this is very difficult for the whole family.
He's ex-special forces ranger, so he's back to doing his.
And I appreciate you talking about Connor. We just, it's the same thing for everyone. No one's here to hurt him, no one, we just trying to talk, obviously he's going through some stuff. Yeah, well, we wanna make sure he's okay too. He's obviously going through something.
We drove 16 hours.
We get it, but it makes people
Elevate,
It's
mental state, right? He's at a firearm, just wanna make sure everyone's safe. We don't want nothing, no miscommunication.
So y'all, they handcuffed my husband. They took him to around the corner down the hallway to a little room that was in the hospital. Well, he's on the same floor. They just took him around the corner. And they put him in a room and they closed the door. So I couldn't talk to him. I couldn't see him. And this fiasco, it didn't just end there, right? Everybody else was getting to tell their side of the stories, but nobody really went out of their way to really talk to the family of the patient, right? Nobody really went out of their way to really hear our side of the story, right? Oh, you want to talk to the security guards, you want to talk to these other people, but you're not talking to the family, right? We're the ones most affected by this. We were the ones that got drawn upon by your officers. We were the ones that got told by the hospital security guards that they don't care about us. We were the ones that got lied on by your nurse, but nobody took a beat to really find out anything. I had to go find an officer to tell my story. He never came around to really find out, right? So I tell my story to the officer, you won't believe like what happened, right? as I'm telling him my story, it's almost as though he's not really paying attention. He's just trying to size me up so he can figure out what questions to ask me, right? I'm in the middle of telling him what's happening to our family, and he stops me and he's like, you have a license to carry, right? And I answer one question and then he goes into the next one, you know, are you armed, right? No, sir, I don't. I don't have anything on me, right? I try to stick to the story. I'm telling you about what our family has been through. He's not listening. He don't care. He's just asking me these questions that have nothing to do with how our family has just been traumatized here. And you're not really trying to hear my side of the story, are you? You know, and then, you know, I'm telling my story, and then he leans out the door and he says, hey, tell Kelly to come here. And I'm thinking to myself, who the hell is Kelly and why are you calling her over here, right? So they search my bags, right? Kelly comes in, she searches my bags after I told you I did not have anything in there, right? Then Kelly frisks me down, right? And as if that wasn't enough, then the officer goes on to say to me, you said you guys drove straight here from Georgia, right? Yes, sir. We drove straight here from Georgia. Is your car outside? Says the officer. Yes, sir. I said, we drove here. Do you mind if we search your car? Says the officer. To myself, I'm thinking, what is going on here? How did we become criminals, right? And I said to him, I said, honestly, sir, I said, I really don't want you to search my vehicle. I know it's my right to not, you know, to not have to consent to that, right? He's like, you know, it is your right not to consent. But if you don't consent, I can just tow your car to the police station, hold it on the lock and key until we get a search warrant and search it anyway, right? That's what he says to me. He put me in this trick box. Oh, you know what? Yeah, it's you're right. It is totally your constitutional right. You don't have to consent to a search. But if you don't consent, I'm going to tow your car anyway. I'm going to hold it on the lock and key until I get a search warrant, and then I'm going to search it, right? It's just something that felt very wrong about that, right? And I know I'm not crazy, because if someone said that to you, you would be thinking the same thing, right? This whole situation, the whole thing that happened to us in that hospital was wrong. My family was victimized in that hospital, right? You heard the audio. The first 15 seconds of the security guard conversation, he's the aggressor already, telling us what he don't care about, right? Calling my husband bro a million times when my husband is senior to him. That is disrespectful, right? This ain't Georgia, this Connecticut, right? I'd be lying if I said I cared. I'd be lying if I said I cared. This is the hospital's representation right here, right? This same guy who came to us with a chip on his shoulder, told us he didn't care. He showed us how much he didn't care, because he called the cops and he told them whatever lie he told them. Oh, they threatened a person. No, I don't know what they said, but whatever they said, it caused those cops to come in here hot, right? So they lied, right? Advocating while black, right? Advocating while black. So searched my vehicle, took my husband off to jail. My husband was arrested and taken to jail on Saturday, September the 28th, after only getting to lay his eyes on his dad for not even 10 minutes before these people went bananas over nothing. All the audio that I just shared with you, not one time did you hear my husband raise his voice. Not one time did you hear my husband, become disorderly, right? He was very upset when they pulled their weapons on him. You saw how traumatized he was. He was crying. Why is this happening to me? I don't deserve this. He was crying. This was wrong. They took my husband to jail because he was advocating for his father. This was wrong. They frisked me and searched my bag because we came to advocate for our dad. This is wrong. They searched my car, right? That was wrong. They did all of these things, but let them tell it, we're the ones in the wrong, right? But I'm telling you again, we were the victims in this. Our family was victimized in this situation. This was not right. And it did not stop here, guys. It didn't stop here. Y'all not going to believe what happened next. I'm going to tell you right now. You're not going to believe what happened next, okay? So they took my husband to jail after they finished searching my truck, right? I go down to the jailhouse. And I want to find out what it's going to take to get my husband out of this jail. I do not want him in this jailhouse after what those officers did. I want him out of there. I need to know what the bond is going to be for this. He shouldn't have been in there in the first place. He did not do anything that warranted this, right? Especially he came to you guys, gave you the professional courtesy to let you know he was in town and going to see his dad, coming over here to advocate for his father, right? He thought he was covering himself. In most cases, that usually does cover him. I've never seen anything like this in my life. Connecticut, are you proud of the way you just traumatized my husband for no good reason? After we told you time and time again what we were here for, what we were trying to do, nobody listened. Nobody cared. Just like what he said when he cried, he said, nobody cares. And he's just crying, nobody cares. Because that's exactly what it felt like, right? The security guard said it himself. He didn't just show that he didn't care. He said it out of his own mouth. I'd be lying if I said that I cared. So they took my husband off the jail. I find out what the bond amount is to get my husband out. This city here in Connecticut, where we were, they put a $250,000 bond on my husband, who got arrested for advocating for his dad at the hospital. Why did you put a bond that high on my husband, right? He didn't harm anybody. He never pulled out his weapon. He wasn't unruly. He didn't even raise his voice, right? $250,000 bond. Now, I'm not from Connecticut. I don't know attorneys up here. I don't know bail bondsmen or any of that stuff. And I got to figure all this out. I'm 800 miles away from Georgia, here in Connecticut, and this happens. It is unwarranted, unacceptable. Words cannot describe to you how I felt when I saw them handcuff my husband, take him around a corner, put him in a room with a closed door. I can see him. I can talk to him. They carted him off the jail without me being able to even see him. $250,000 bond. I got to figure this out, right? It's Saturday night. In some instances, yeah, people stay in jail over the weekend and they see a judge on Monday. Oh, hell no, not mine. You're not going to stay up in this jail overnight. I don't trust these people. They just pull guns on us. Are you serious? I had to get my husband out of here. So I call around frantically, asking my friends what I should do. I get on Google and just look up some names, and I run across a bail bondsman. And I just called him, and we ended up talking. And at first he was apprehensive to do it because my husband actually lives in Georgia. But after we spoke and he understood, he became more comfortable as I was just talking to him. He said, you know what, after talking to you and you telling me about, your husband being military and, having served in the Army, being a Ranger and what you guys were up here for and what was going on, he said, I'll go ahead and I'll work with you. And he did. Now, I don't know if you guys know like how bail bonds works. When they give you a bond amount, in this instance, the bond was $250,000. Usually a bail bond will charge you a percentage of that, and that will be a non-refundable fee to get, your loved one or your friend or whatever out of jail. It's usually anywhere between 10 to 20% of whatever the bond amount is, right? So in this case, he'd given me the bond fee or whatever, right? Non-refundable. $17,000, right? Who goes to visit their dad who's dying and expects to have to pay 17 grand for something? Nobody. Dude, we didn't have it. We didn't have it. We had to struggle and scrape to pull that together. That $250,000 bond was excessive and it put my family in an extreme hardship, right? But it was a hardship we were willing to bear because we wanted our loved one from behind those bars. So we scrimped and scraped and we came up with the money. Luckily, the bail bondsman, he said, you know what, if you can come up with $7,000, I can payment plan out the rest, right? On a 1-year plan, right? So that's what we did, right? We put up a portion of the money, payment planned out the rest. They came and I was able to bond my husband out of jail, right? And they set a court date for October 11th, which gave me some time to try to figure out some type of attorney, because I'd be damned if my husband was going to court and trying to represent himself with these people. It was not going to work for me. We got to get him somebody. We strapped for cash, but we got to figure it out, right? Bring my husband home on Saturday night. Me and mom went and picked him up. My husband was so distraught, y'all. Was so distraught. He sat. He just sat in the back seat and he cried. He cried all the way back to mom and dad's house. He was so upset because the whole time they had him in the holding, he did not know that they had placed this $250,000 bond on him, right? He said they were back there just shooting the shit and talking to him and everything. They had him thinking they were going to just drop charges and just let him go, right? It wasn't until he made his collect call to me from jail and I told him I was trying to get him out and I told him what the bond amount was and I could literally see his mouth drop through the phone. He was in utter disbelief that they had put that big ass bond amount on him for something that was unwarranted. And I could tell he was just speechless. He just got off the phone. He was like, let me call you back. It's like he couldn't believe it, right? So when we finally had bailed him out, it was he knew how much money. He understands how bail bonds work, right? Because of what he does. He knows how much money it was going to cost. He was devastated, right? Because we had to tap mom and dad's savings where we didn't have it, right? And he just sat in the back seat as we drove back to mom and dad's house and he cried. And when we got home, he didn't say a word. He went right to bed and he just laid there and he curled up and he got up under his blanket and he was just over it, right? So we get him out. We're preparing for an October 11th court date, right? So the next day, it's Sunday. Me and mom go visit dad at the hospital, just me and her. My husband decides, you know what, you guys I'm not going to go back to the hospital and try to see dad, right? Nobody told him he couldn't come back. He just felt like that was just best. You guys just go handle it, right? Which put a big burden on our family because mom's in her 70s and she was here trying to juggle it. And then we were going to do it as a family, right? We were going to do trade-offs, right? Because one thing, when you have someone that you care about in a hospital, and they're staying for an extended time, you never want to leave them, unaccompanied, right? And I say that because you have good nurses and then you have not good nurses, right? I'm just going to say it like that. And if your family member or your loved one is in the hospital, if those nurses know, oh, there's somebody around, there's always a family member around, they're more likely to be on top of their game and they're more likely to really give your loved one the care they deserve because they know eyes are watching, right? So it's really important. I know everybody doesn't have people to help them with that stuff, but if you have family that can help you so that way your loved one has some family around them like 24/7, that is ideal, right? And that's what we were wanting to do until we could get that, into a better situation or whatever. But we didn't even get a chance to even have the conversation, right? There was no chance for us to talk and plan out, okay, where's dad's health at? What needs to be done? We didn't even get to do any of that. Everybody was so concerned about everything except for what the family needed for their dad, right? So like I said, Sunday we go and visit dad, right? We took separate cars. Mom took her car. She hung out for a minute and then she left and I hung back and I hung out with dad because he was watching his favorite movie, which is Frozen. So I was like, I'll hang out with him and watch the movie. So I ended up staying like 3 additional hours after mom had left, right? Just kind of hanging out with him and talking and stuff like that. And then I left Dad and I went home. And I told him, based on our conversation, he said, yeah, he said the night shift was rough. He got a lot of young kids in there and they don't care, right? Because they know all the families of the patients are probably gone. So they just do whatever, like on the night shift. So I said, Dad, you don't worry about that. I said, I'm going to spend the night with you tomorrow night, right? And he said, okay. So the next night, which is Monday night, I got there about 7 because their shifts are 7 to 7, night shift, day shift. So I got there at 7, right? And I get there, and within the first 15 minutes of me getting there, Dad has an episode that is an extremely scary one. I'm not going to go into detail, but it was one of those episodes that had I not been there, it could have been really bad. Like my father probably could have died had I not been there. And I won't go into detail what it was, but I will tell you this. When it happened, it scared the shit out of me, right? Basically, yell for the nurse, right? And when those nurses came in there, I said to them, I said, this was a really scary situation. I said, what would have happened to my dad if I wasn't here? And when I said that to those 2 nurses, they just kind of looked at me like a deer in the headlights. It was so weird. They didn't even say anything. They just kind of looked at me, right? So then because of the incident that happened, they had to get Dad, re-cleaned up and everything like that. And they asked me to step outside the room. Okay, fine. So I step outside the room. No, they asked me to go wait in the waiting room, which is outside of the ICU doors. And so I leave his room, but I'm not going all the way to the waiting room. I just stand outside the door. You guys can close the door. I'll just stand out here and wait. And they didn't want me to do that. They're like, no, you got to go to the waiting room outside the ICU. Oh, I'm not going to allow you to put me outside of these ICU doors. So I'll go around the corner, but I did not go outside the ICU. I went around the corner and I sat like in a nurse's chair and I just waited. She said 20 minutes, right? And she would come and get me is what she said, right? So I go and I sit in the nurse's chair, give them 25 minutes. Of course, nobody came to get me, right? So I went back on my own. I expected anyway. I knew she wasn't going to come to get me. I already read her up and down when I saw her the first time. So I get there to Dad's room, and the first thing Dad says to me is, she didn't come and get you, did she? I was like, no, she didn't. I came back on my own, right? So I get into the room, get settled down. Dad's good now. Start setting up my makeshift bed for the night and everything. And that nurse's, whose name I've now put on my, not a good nurse list, she comes in, it's about to be shift change. So she wants to introduce who the night nurse is going to be. That's going to be taking care of my dad, right? And I don't know if she felt like kind of like guilty for like earlier because she was trying to be all super nice. And it's like, I'm not playing that. I see who you are, whatever, right? You can keep your niceness, right? So she's introducing the nurse to us, which seems like a really, he ended up being a really good nurse. He had a really great demeanor. He was really gentle with my dad. He was a good listener. He was a really good communicator. And what I really liked about him is every time he did something, like he gave my dad a medication, or if he was going to clean him, or if he was, getting a new accessory for him to use, whatever it was, he explained like in full detail what he was doing, what it was called, what it was for, what the name of the medicine was. He was very detailed. He was a stellar nurse, right? So I was very impressed with him. And even when my dad got frustrated with him because my dad was tired, like the ICU is so freaking busy and there are people coming in there every hour, just, prodding and poking him, and he could not sleep the entire night. Like there was somebody coming in the room every time he would drift off to sleep, somebody would come in there. So he became irritable with the nurse, and the nurse was very patient. And I was like, you got to understand, he hasn't had any rest, right? I know I'm cranky McDanky when I haven't had any rest. So I was like, let Dad have his crankiness and please let him have some sleep as well, because that's why he's short-tempered. He's tired, right? So, of course, I didn't sleep either at all because I was so busy watching him. And then the nurses coming in and out, it was really kind of, disturbing my sleep too. And plus I wanted to watch them, right? So every nurse that came in, I didn't recognize. I was like, what's your name, right? And as soon as they left, I would ask my dad, are they okay? And he would say, yeah, they're okay. Or he'd say, no, they're not, right? So I'm making my list of nice nurses and like naughty ones. So I'm just like straight up, right? So I hang out with dad all night. You know, we watch Black Panther. I think he was on another movie. I don't remember. I think I fell asleep on Black Panther though. And the next morning I ended up leaving like at about 8 or so. Once I got the confirmation of who the nurse was going to be to take over, and it was a nurse that my dad really liked. So once I was comfortable with that, I just, you know, hugged them and I bounced. And then after that, I went to run some errands. So this is Tuesday morning when I'm leaving. It is Tuesday, October the 1st. I'm leaving the hospital after spending the night with dad, right? Go run some errands and then I go home. So I get back to mom and dad's about 11, right? I'm like sleepwalking at this point. I'm so freaking tired. I've not had any sleep with everything going on, all the drama, them arresting my husband, then us driving 18 hours from Georgia. I had no time to really get any real rest. So I was crashing like really quickly, right? So I said, I'm going to get home. I tell my husband, as soon as I see him, look, I just need 3 hours of uninterrupted sleep. I'm about to fall out, right? So he was like, yeah, you've been doing a lot. You know, go ahead and lay down, please. He said, take a nap, right? So I lay down next to him. He's kind of watching TV. And then we're kind of just talking until I kind of like fall asleep. So we talk for like 30 minutes till I fall asleep. All of a sudden, I hear the loudest voice I've ever heard in my life. It sounded like it was coming through every hole inside the house. And this is what it said. I'll block out the city. I'll block out some names, but you'll get it. This is what the voice said. This is the city of XYZ. We need everyone in the house at 123 Apple Street to come outside now. We have a warrant for the arrest of Jack Black. And that's what it said. My husband jumps out of the bed, right? He's chilling. He's got his Army Ranger t-shirt on, a pair of shorts, and some socks because he's just chilling, right? He jumps up. He looks out of the window. There are 4 police cars, heavily loaded officers, and a big-ass SWAT tank. I kid you not. I'm going to show you the video. A big-ass SWAT tank with a guy standing at the top of it. Like he's going, well, I mean, what are you doing? You going to blow our fucking house up? Like, what is going on? Why is my husband being arrested again? I just got him out of jail Saturday night on a ridiculously excessive bond that already put a hardship on our family. Not just a high bond, but the fact that you arrested him, right, on something that was unwarranted, should never have happened, right? My husband was traumatized. It's Tuesday. He's finally starting to get back to center, right? After you guys traumatized him on Saturday. Finally, he's getting back to center. And then this happens and you set him back again. Again, he's like, oh my God. My husband, when he looked at the window, he opened the window, he put his hands at the window. He's like, it's okay, I'm coming. I mean, they came in as though you would have thought they was coming to get Pablo Escobar or something. It was ridiculous, right? It was ridiculous. My mouth is hung open. It's like, okay, I'm going to show you the video right quick. I cannot believe it escalated. I'm going to show you the video.
Ma'am, stay there. Turn around. Come back.
Mom.
What's going on here?
Ma'am, stay there.
Every time I see this video, I get so emotional. He's outside. He's got his socks on. He asked the officers, can I please put on some clothes? They were like, no, come out here, right? All of this because he advocated for his father in the hospital. Y'all came and y'all reared. Do you see this fucking tank out here? Do you see what they drove up to our elderly mom and dad's house to get their son on a second arrest, right? My husband did not deserve this, right? There is nothing that he did at that hospital that warranted this right here. There is absolutely nothing. I'm gonna play it again for you. I cannot believe you. Not right. Not right. No. What's going on here? Yo, every time I watch that video, I get so upset. He had finally gotten to a place where he wasn't as upset. He was so upset when he got arrested on Saturday night or Saturday, and then when he got out on bond. And now the hospital has decided they want to press charges, the same charges. He's going to jail for the same exact thing that happened on Saturday. I don't even know how this is even possible, right? The same hospital that is housing my father, the same hospital whose security guard representing them came and said out of his own mouth, he don't care about us, right? Got the message. It is very obvious. You sent a tank to our elderly parents' house to get their son. Our 70-year-old mother was shaken to death about that. Do you have any idea the level of trauma you have once again put on our family? Wasn't that enough that you drew weapons on us in the hospital? Now you want to show up with tanks and all of these cars and all of this. Why are you doing this? It doesn't make any sense. Regardless of whatever your gun laws are in Connecticut, it did not warrant the treatment that we received. Definitely my husband, for sure, did not deserve to go to jail, right? For us to have to shield my husband from being shot, right? Me, my 70-year-old mother, in between all these officers with their guns drawn on my husband for no good reason. My husband did not pull a weapon on them. He didn't put his hands on anybody. He didn't even raise his voice. You heard all the audio, all the interactions. What was the common theme from my husband? I'm here for my dad. I want a medical professional. I want a doctor, right? That was the common theme you heard from him. But the common theme you heard from everybody else, except for that one nice little nurse that got him the doctor just before the cops showed up and demanded that he get off the phone, right? The one nice little nurse whose name I got, by the way, amazing. But everybody else, nobody showed any empathy for the family of the patient. It is disgusting. I am angry. I am sad. And I think about when they handcuffed my husband and he cried, nobody cares. And he's crying, nobody cares. And that is exactly what it looks like here, that nobody cares. They took my husband back to the same jail I had just bailed him out from Saturday night, and they have him in holding. And this time they say, you can't bond him out. He has to go to court first, right? So now he has to spend the night in there, right? He has to spend the night in there. It's not right. It is not right. He's got to spend the night in here, right? So he can go to court tomorrow, right? We were trying to have time to get an attorney so he could go on the 11th. But here, oh no, you sped that timeline up to fit your agenda, right? So when all this transpired, I am frantic trying to call the attorney that my husband and I had spoken to yesterday. We were supposed to schedule some time for a Zoom call and talk out more details. There was no time for that. I had to make an emergency call to that attorney and say, look, we need your services. I cannot have my husband going through this on his own. He's got to go to a court date. I do not trust these people at this point because what they are doing is sleaziness. It is disgusting what is happening right now. What the system is doing to my husband is not warranted. It is cruel and unjust punishment is what it is. So I worked with the attorney. The attorney had to pay more money that we don't have. Had to pay the attorney $10,000. That's why I'm doing this video. That's why I got a GoFundMe link right now. I have to pay these legal bills. The family has to pay these legal bills, and we don't have it. We shouldn't even be in this position. So my husband goes to court the next day. Right? We're thinking it's going to be 12. It gets pushed to a 2 o'clock court date because they don't have his paperwork ready. They can't seem to coordinate and organize and get his paperwork ready, right? Finally gets it ready. Our attorney is there. Tori comes out. They wouldn't let him take any clothes. I had to rush and grab a pair of pants and some boots. So he comes out. He's got his Ranger shirt on. He's got on the black pants I got for him, and his boots with no laces, because when he went to jail Saturday night, they took his laces out of his boots, and he didn't even have time to put them back in, right? So he waddles out to the court because he's handcuffed. And I just want to cry because my husband is not a criminal. And you got him over here looking like a damn criminal. And the judge begins to speak, and we're thinking that the $250,000 bond for the first arrest was already a hardship for the family. It doesn't make sense to have a whole nother bond for something. It's the exact same charges. It's just nothing. This is stupid, right? So the attorney is like, well, maybe we can just have a $0 amount on this new bond. We're $250,000 is more than enough. He's not a flight risk. You're not going anywhere. You already put up your elderly mom and dad's house for the $250 already, right? My husband's not going to screw that up. He's going to go to his court dates, right? They don't care. So what ends up happening? They come with another $100,000 bond. And this time they want 30% of that $100,000 to get him out of jail. We scraped and scrimped for the 17, or not even the 17, for the $7,000 we contributed to the 17 on Saturday night when they arrested him. We scripted and scraped to get this attorney $10,000, right? And now we're supposed to come up with 30. There's no way. There's no way. That's why I'm here today. I don't normally put my business out here like this, but I didn't know what else to do. So I had to come up with something to pay for these legal fees, to pay for this bond so I can bring my husband home. He is in jail, right? We're trying to figure out the bond and do this and do that, and I don't have $30,000, right? So they transported my husband. Today's October the 3rd. They transported my husband last night to a correctional facility that is 1 hour away from the city. He does not deserve to be in jail. Are you proud of this, Connecticut? Are you proud of putting a man that has lived his life serving others behind bars? Are you proud of putting an Army veteran that has served his country as a Ranger behind bars? Are you proud of putting a man behind bars who just showed up to the hospital to make sure his dad was good because he thought he was losing his father? Are you proud to put a man behind bars because he was advocating for his dad at that hospital, asking to see a doctor, asking for a medical professional, while those hospital staff members, the nurse, the security guards, they did not care. They were very, very clear. They didn't care, right? The nurse didn't care. She was too busy being on her feelings because she didn't like the way she was talked to. All she had to do was go get the doctor, go get a medical professional like we asked. But no, she was pissed and she was like, I'm going to show you. I'm going to go get the security guards. Security guards get there. Security told us out of his own mouth, I'd be lying if I cared. I'd be lying if I cared. Had the audacity to say it twice, right? Quick to remind us, this ain't Georgia, this Connecticut. This ain't no Georgia, right? Quick to want to, you about to get up out of here, telling my husband, you about to get up out of here, right? All of that, right? And we're steadily, same song we're telling you, we're here for our father. We want we want, a medical professional. We want a doctor. You're not hearing it, right? Cops come, same thing. Drawn weapons on us, weapons on my husband. And for what? Advocating for his father that's a patient at the hospital. Are you kidding me? All of this? My husband never raised his voice. But on that first charge, do you know they had the nerve to put a disorderly conduct on here, on this paperwork? He never raised his voice, not one time. He never did anything disorderly, but you got it on his police report. Yeah, he doesn't have a permit to carry in Connecticut. Okay, fine. But it still doesn't warrant what you guys did to us. Not just to him. You did this to his family. You realize that, right? You traumatized a family, including the patient that was in that hospital. You guys failed. And then you rearrested my husband and you put him through the same exact trauma he had just gone to a few days prior to on Saturday that you caused. So right now, as we speak, my husband is in jail, an hour away. I don't know what the conditions they have him in. I don't know if they have him in there with criminals. I don't know if they have him in there with killers. I don't know if my husband is okay. But tomorrow I am going to see him. The attorney is still working on the case. We are diligently trying to get him out the best way we can. But at the end of the day, the family doesn't have $30,000. We've already come out so much money. So my attorney is trying to figure something out, but I'm coming to you right now with a request. If you could help. If not, share the video because that helps as well. I don't care if you only donate $1. Thank you. God bless you. I love you. I appreciate you. I don't care if it's $1. I thank you. If you ain't got $1, just click a button and share the video. My family is suffering. We were already suffering because we lost our son in July. We were already suffering because dad's in the ICU. And then we were made to suffer more when my husband was carted off to jail for no good reason other than advocating while Black. Right? And then they hit him with a double whammy and rearrested him again, traumatized him all again, right? Rearrested him again. Now there's more trauma because now they send him to jail. My husband has never been in jail before, right? My husband's in his 50s. The last time he had anything, he was in his 20s. Yeah, a bar fight. Yeah, what, maybe 20 plus years ago? Little stupid shit like that. That you just, you go to jail overnight. Maybe you hang out in the holding cell and you get out the next day. No, they have him in jail. He's at a correctional facility. Are you kidding me? And every time I think about that video when he's walking outside in his socks and the t-shirt and shorts, and I start crying because I know him and I know like what's going through his mind. He's like, I don't deserve any of this. Why are y'all doing this to me? I can't think about anything else until I have my husband right here next to me. I need him to walk through the doors safe and sound. Anything you can do to help, I appreciate it. Every single penny is going to go towards bringing my husband home, paying attorney fees, whatever we got to do. There's no reason this should have happened to him. And I do not want this to happen to anybody else. And I have to agree with the security guard on one thing. This definitely ain't no damn Georgia. You got that right. Support if you can. And if you can't, it's okay. But please share. I appreciate you for watching. And just help me bring my husband home. I just want my husband back. Safe and sound. And prayers are good too. Thank you. Bye.